Welcome back to Supply Chain Africa News. We are still with Mrs Nimo Hussein. And before the break, I wanted us to talk about family. But before family, I want you to tell us, where did you grow up?
Wanyama, that's a very good question. And another stereotype I must say, when people see me, they think I'm from a very influential family with a proper, being pampered and all that.
Are you from an influential family?
No, not really.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I was born in Wajir, a place called Hawaswene. Yeah. And my parents are not educated. We are pastoralists. Being a Somali community, we are pastoralists in nature. I'm from a very humble background. In fact, education was not in the cards for me, to be honest, being a lady especially, more so being a lady, yeah? Mm-hmm. My father, I don't think even he ever conceived it in his mind that his girls will be educated, yeah? But I was very fortunate. But unfortunately, my two sisters were not as lucky because they didn't get access to education, and they, in the process, of course, married at very early ages, very prematurely, yeah. I was fortunate that I was taken by relatives, an aunt and uncle of mine, who actually educated me. Mm-hmm. And till to date, my father, especially, he used to, until I was in high school, he used to tell my aunt, why are you struggling with this girl's education? I mean, she's going to be married off at the end of the day, yeah? So they thought women will just be married and off they go to their husband's family. So for me, I find it as I said, education was not in the cards. So achieving this level of education and even professionally, it's like a miracle. For lack of a better word, it's actually a miracle, given the background I came from, yeah? And it's not been easy. It's been a lot of hard work. I used to be studious. I used to study a lot. I knew where I came from, so I didn't want to misuse that privilege I was given. And I think my aunt and uncle, who actually educated me, I'm sure when they see me, they're very content knowing that at least
it paid off.
It paid off, yeah. So, and they're in these marginalized communities, and the girl child, and even till to date, if you go to that county and sub-county, and the whole of Northeastern, as those ones from very humble, marginalized communities, the girls, you know, at least now there's a free primary education, primary, secondary, you can pass through. But after that, most of them just think about marriage. That's the reality on the ground in this era. You can just imagine, yeah? And they think that financial prosperity is marrying the right man. But they really don't know that they can achieve that by themselves. Mm-hmm. They can actually work hard and look for opportunities out there. And that money they're looking for, and the stability, the family stability they're looking for, and hoping that they get the right spouse to give them that life, they can actually work for it themselves and be able to give that to themselves and their families.
Yeah.
Yes. So my story has really been an inspiration to many. I'm in contact with a number of them, and I told them, you know, number one, you just have to have a vision. And it's not like the old days where you expect that the men will do their duties the way they used to do. Mm-hmm. The world right now is changing. Yeah. I'm not going to say that they are deadbeat husbands and all that. We will not go into those sagas, yeah?
But we know the truth is they do exist.
The men need support.
Yeah.
You know, right now, life is not as simple as it used to be. We need to appreciate that. Yeah. And there's a lot of support systems necessary. We women need to give men, our spouses, the support systems they require, and vice versa. And that is what constitutes really a happy family, to support each other, yeah? And not feel like one party is leaning too much on the other to the extent the other feels like this one is a burden.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is a sad story. Yeah. So for the ladies I mentor, I tell them you can achieve anything you perceive it as long as you have the drive and the aspiration and the strength to pursue it.
When you're saying you mentor these girls, but here we have a problem. The problem starts with the parents who are telling them, you know, when you get to a certain age, you need to get married. what are you doing personally as Nimo to make sure that you change their perception so that as much as you can take a boy child to school, you can also take a girl child to school and it will still pay off?
It is really, I've seen young ladies who are really traumatized because the community, they have reached maybe a certain age in their late 20s or early 30s, yeah? And they have not gotten the right spouse. There's that social pressure, you know, they normally say your clock is ticking. You know, for us ladies, they normally say our clock is ticking. Even I received similar pressure, to be honest. They're like, you should not just be career oriented, you need to balance. Yes, you have
I hope it never started ticking when you are in Form 4.
From where I come from, actually it starts ticking from around that time, yeah, because you're expected by at least early 20s, you've settled down, yeah. And right now, getting the right partner, let me say, yeah, is not really easy. And you find that there are ladies out there who, even some of them are really doing well career-wise, but they are depressed, they are frustrated, they even avoid family gatherings because of those social pressures to settle down. You get it? And it's something, by the way, we need to talk about right now. Of course, the parents will say we need grandchildren, we need our, you know, our generations to come and all that, all manner of things. They'll give you all manner of reasons, yeah? But I think that is undue pressure for our girls in this day and era. It is recommended. I actually recommend for you to be married, because even in terms from a moral perspective, yeah, it is important for one to settle down, yeah? But not to the extent somebody is becoming depressed because of that. Because
so you settle down when you feel like you're ready to settle down.
To settle down and you get the right person, but not settling for the sake of settling. Yes.
You're coming from a conservative environment, let me say. How has it affected you, your marriage life, your work life?
Yeah, it's very interesting because when I was about to settle down, yeah, and get married, I would get these comments like, I was a go-getter, by the way. I was very career-oriented, to say, yeah? And they will say, you know, right now, you know, you have a family to take care of. You need to slow down a bit. Or others will say, when you get children, now what happens? Are you going to resign? And by the way, I really appreciate where my family was coming from and our culture and the religion, because we believe the foundation of a proper family rests with the mother, yes? And even if you look at the roles and responsibilities when it comes to both partners in the marriage, yeah, it's very clear. So, and to be honest, balancing is not easy. Of course, right now we have more enlightened spouses in terms of husbands who will assist us, because before, culturally, men did not take part in female associated activities, you know, in as far as the household is concerned. Some will not even step into the kitchen. It was that serious, yeah? They will not be seen anywhere near the kitchen. But at least right now things have really changed. We have very supportive spouses. And juggling career and family is not a walk in the park. I will tell you that.
When you say it's not a walk in the park, there has been an argument that at the end of the day, if you find any lady who has succeeded in her professional career, there is high chances that her family life have failed.
Okay, I don't know where you removed the statistics from, because to be honest, that is not true. We have very...
You mean you've never struggled between balancing your work life and family life?
Okay, there are cases where you get burnt out. Even something as simple as maybe there's an emergency at home, the child is sick, you know, those kind of things. You have to ask for impromptu leave days to take care of maybe your child's school affairs, you know, things happen, yeah? And I normally say that you really need a really compassionate supervisor to understand some of these things, and an institution which really appreciates and supports some of these dynamics women go through, being mothers, being homemakers, other than the career side of that. And maybe they're even very tight assignments with deadlines which you're supposed to submit, and you have maybe emergencies back at home. So you really need proper support systems to achieve that. So there are cases, I won't lie, there are cases whereby you are forced to choose. There are some industries, ladies are forced to choose between career and family life. It happens. I won't disagree with that, yeah? But I do believe that we need support.
Yeah.
We really do need support. And there are some even who resign. When it actually comes to that point in life where you want children, you want a family, you take time out. Yes? Deal with that and then come back maybe 10 years later. But by 10 years nowadays, the world is so dynamic. Things change so fast, yeah? So we just need to advocate for those supportive mechanisms and seek help and support so that we are able to juggle the two sides of life.
So how can companies make their work environment to be more attractive to women?
And by there, I really want to thank this for my current MD. We have a lady MD, CEO and MD in a very technical industry, the energy sector. She's the first. And since she came in...
I can see the excitement on your face.
Because it has really helped, by the way. Because before we were really suffering in silence. I won't lie to you. Many women were suffering. And you find my fellow colleagues who are in the engineering fields, there are cases even they are forced to go to other support departments because they just can't manage the two sides. And some of these power plants are in very remote areas where you don't have access to social amenities such as schools, hospitals, you know, those kind of things. And maybe you are far from your spouse. So when our MD came in, we came under the flagship program which is called Pink Energy, basically to give those support systems to female employees, yeah, not to the detriment of the male or to compete with the men, but just to make our lives easier so that we are able to balance the two sides of life. So some of those things like flexi hours, you know, even as something as simple as a pumping room for breastfeeding mothers, you know. So those small things, maybe most of you take it for granted. It really means a lot for us and in our careers. Yes.
When you talk about what your current employer has done, and you are also the council member of Kenya Institute of Supplies Management, then that means also this is, you know, the language every company should be speaking. Are you engaging these companies to make sure that they are also doing that?
To be honest, initially when we came in a year and a half ago, we were so held up with trying to sanitize the profession. Even our voices being heard. You know, something as simple, our voices being heard and being able to take part in the high tables in terms of policy decisions and all that, so that we are part of some of these discussions which are happening at a national level. So, and now we are scaling down to the small things. We want to come up with women leadership and capacity building programs in terms of mentorship and coaching to go up our the career ladders, yeah, middle level management, top level management, even becoming MDs and taking up more board positions. And you're right, that's an area we have said to enhance that. We also need to take care of the softer things, or basically the resources required for us to really be able to concentrate up there, those support mechanisms. So those are things now we need to start those discussions and borrow from where I am currently, yeah, so that we apply in all other institutions. Yes.
As a council member, what are you doing to encourage other young girls to join the profession?
Now, this profession has been characterized by, it's male dominated. If you look at the logistics sector, the transport sector, the oil and gas sector, the manufacturing, if you look at it as a whole, and there was a survey which was done recently that it's only 37% of women who take up this kind of career lines, yeah? And out of that, around only, is it 15 to 17% are in top leadership positions. And the reason being is because before it was considered as a blue-collar job because it required a lot of physical activities. If you look at even the warehousing and cargo management, you know, those kind of areas, yeah? Physical and manual and all that. But now, and more women are coming into the profession because right now we are really taking advantage of technology. Some of those things which were being done manually and physically are now being done using technology.
Yeah.
So the affinity towards this profession is gaining momentum. Now the other thing is, yes, I agree, despite that the women are still shying away from this career line, because it's very demanding, to be honest. It's a demanding job. You have to be on your toes day in, day out. It's a chain. That's why it's called supply chain. And you have to ensure within that chain, at no particular place, no one drops the ball. Because the minute the ball is dropped, then that entire chain is affected. Yeah. And it will have financial consequences, it will have high risk. You know, the ripple effect basically is very serious. And to be that demanding, it requires a lot of self-sacrifice, yeah? And you have to be present fully. And when you are balancing between work and life, now that becomes a challenge. So we are looking at the ways now to make it more attractive to the women, yeah? In terms of having the flexi hours, in terms of having the proper skills to manage them, the working from home, you know, kind of mechanisms, all that, the softwares and automations and all that. So with that, I hope more young girls coming, and they are increasing, but if you look at the universities right now and colleges, actually more ladies are taking up this profession. Okay. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We are going to take a short break and then we'll be back with more.